Sorry. Still take a fill now.
Looks according to my phone and the clock on my phone, it's 6:30. If you will, just take a few moments before we start and bow your heads. Amen. I want to welcome everyone to the forum. And let me explain the difference between the forum and a regular meeting. In the forum, you can ask questions and we can answer them. In a regular meeting, you have two opportunities to speak, but we can't answer you. You're observing, in our regular meeting, you're observing a business meeting of your town commissioners. And we conduct the business. You get to see what the discussion is and how they vote. But you have two opportunities for public comment during that time, but we don't answer questions during the public comment period. And I just wanted to clear up a little bit of confusion on that. Commissioners, I have the agenda before me and you do too. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
Certainly.
I have a motion from Commissioner Widmer and a second from Commissioner Fouché. Is that right? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Floor is now open for public comment. You can ask questions. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. If you get going too long, I'm going to stop you. Okay.
Oh, I'm Kate Clegg. I live on Lookout. And I, at last meeting, addressed the parking issues that have been hoisted upon the residents at Lookout in this area with all the new parking. My son was visiting from Michigan and parked across the street from my house where we always park. First night it was okay, second night it was okay, and then they towed his car without a warning, and I think that's very disrespectful. I was told 25 feet from the intersection and 12 feet clearance, and we're okay. If there's a problem, all of a sudden with Lookout being congested and Missouri being congested, then we need to figure out how to address it. Be it one way and one way down. But some of those houses on Lookout, and I'm one of them, are impacted for parking. That's the only place we have to go. My next thought is if I have to have a plumber or an electrician come to my house, does he have to park down in the valley and walk up, or can he park across the street at a no parking? And if that's okay for that point in time, what's the problem with the rest of them? I think you've created a problem that needs to be thought of more deeply and clearly. That's all.
Were there no
Ms.
parking signs where your son parked?
Nope.
Ms. Clegg, do you have any off-street parking available on your lot? I thought I saw a lot of timber being cut behind your house. Yeah, don't you think your repairman can park back there or any of your visitors?
What about further down? I have a rental property down there. There's no parking in the front, no parking.
I'm
in the
not
back.
familiar with your rental property, Ms.
Well,
Clegg.
that's what you've done with no parking. So do repairman and workmen, what are they supposed to do?
Is that down where the sidewalk is on one side of the street
It's
and
above the.
the
above-
rock wall on the other side of the street?
It's 331 Lookout Road.
Okay, does it have a sidewalk in front of the house?
No.
There's no sidewalk?
No.
Grass goes all the way to the street?
I don't have grass.
Okay, what's
It's a-
across the street? In the rock wall, in their rock wall?
I have a rock wall across the street as the house that has,
Are you on the left or the right going up? I just
I'm
don't
on
know
the
where.
left going
You
up.
see, you've got a rock wall in front of your house and you have no off.
I have a very narrow driveway in the back that's dangerous. And I'm looking at expanding that, but
That would be a good idea.
in the meantime, well, you denied my neighbor putting in a driveway.
Well, that doesn't mean we're going to deny you. That's why I wanted you, have you talked to our zoning person yet?
No.
Well, you need to talk to her and she can help you to resolve what you need to do to get that off-street
Okay, well,
parking.
let me ask you further up where there's no parking on either side and there's no parking on the property, what does the workman do? Where do
Parks
they go?
behind your house.
You can't, there's no parking.
I thought you cleared all that out.
Not clear it out.
Is,
But I'm
is
going
this the
to-
house on the corner of Chapman Road and Lookout?
It's by the lodge and it's in the middle of that lot, middle of the block.
Oh, okay.
There's no, they can't park in front and they can't park in back and they have no driveway.
Okay. At the last meeting, I suggested you talk to our zoning person to see if she could help you figure out how to get off-street parking. And you've not done that yet?
I have not done that yet. No.
Okay. Why don't you do that? Caitlin's
asking.
very good and she's very perceptive and she might be able to help you with solve that problem.
But you're not addressing the issue of the house.
We're not, we've got to have emergency vehicles going up and down Lookout.
The repairmen do that have to stop somewhere to take care of the house.
I don't know. You really, most residents should provide off-street parking at their homes.
Can't be done.
Well, we've got to keep the roads clear for emergency vehicles. We'll work on this, Miss Clegg, if you will talk to Kayla.
You created a problem. I just want y'all to understand. Where are the workmen gonna go?
Jay, I've been to your house, several times just walking by. And I noticed that your parking, that's on the lower part of Lookout, I mean, your rental that's on the lower part has in Montreat, a very coveted driveway and area. I've seen 3 cars parked in there.
Put your car in there, you walk to a wall, decide to fall off into the middle. Scary little-
Railing.
We are looking at expanding. I don't know whether- I don't know where the water lines are.
If you'll call the street department, I'll show you where the water lines and sewer lines are.
That I can do, but what the people do that can't, that's my question. What do you do?
All they've got to do is call the town and the town will show them where the water lines and sewer lines
No,
are.
that's not, I'm talking about workmen, plumbers, electricians. Where do you park if there's no parking front and back? How do you address the homeowner?
I tell you what I do at our house. There are people who don't live in those houses year round. And when I have workmen, there's nobody in my neighbor's house. I know that. And I say, just park over there. And they do, and they walk across the street or walk up the street to my house. Or I move my car to a neighbor's house so that they can pull in.
That's not always possible, sir. Sorry.
Okay, well,
You caused a problem and I think you need to work on it. That's all.
In all due respect, we're trying to solve a problem and it's a public safety problem and a public safety for everyone in the entire neighborhood. And Commissioner Otto worked very hard in order to do that with the least possible pain for everyone. It just wasn't done arbitrarily without a great deal of effort and thought. And I think he did a very good job with it. And I truly think that if you will get with Kayla and make an effort, at least your problem can be solved.
Mine can be, but some people's can't.
next. Richard?
Richard DeBose, 160 Woodland Road, and president of the Mountain Retreat Association. I have a question regarding the comprehensive plan draft that you all will consider tonight. It's basically on page 102, packet page 102. Give you a second to get to that. It's change number 2, next steps. Let me know when you want me to proceed with my question.
Page 102.
On my little document it is, let's see, it's next steps, change number 2.
yeah, it's on 102.
Okay, sorry, it's 92, it's 102 of my PDF, so it's number 93. Yep. It says actually at the bottom, Town of Montreat Comprehensive Plan 59 is the page in the document that I'm looking at, so that probably won't help you at all.
So you're right. It's in the agenda package, page 102.
Okay, sorry. In the agenda packet, it's 102. I hope I'm reading the correct draft, otherwise I'm wasting everybody's time. The draft I'm reading has inserted language in place of bullet 2. It has an inserted bullet at the top of the page which says secure new revenue resources due to the sole dependency on the residential tax base and the growing demand on municipal services by MRA and Montreat College who are exempt from taxes. Can you all tell me where that language comes from?
I wrote it.
You wrote it. Where, on what do you base the statement, the growing demand on municipal services by the MRA?
Sheer traffic volume that we're seeing, and not just, I mean, what we're seeing with facilities around here and as well as the college, which is not.
Okay, and that concludes my question. Thank you.
And can I just say this? And you, MRA does pay taxes.
Right.
MRA pays taxes on some of the properties that you own. And you are a large taxpayer for those properties.
Right. I'll have more to say about it in the meeting. Thanks.
Okay.
Next. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Mary Kennerty and I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina. I just want to say that I'm here tonight to show support for Montreat. Our family came here 30 or 40 years ago. My kids just came back last weekend. Now they're 40 years old and they love Montreat. We want Montreat to stay as Montreat is. This is a magical place to us and to many of you. And I'm very concerned, as in Charleston, we've had a big problem with development, as you know. My sister's on the town council for Isle of Palms, and it's gotten to be a crazy rat race, money grubbing place there. My nephew is in the West Wing of the White House and has served under 2 presidents, skipping one. But anyway, so I'm here to tell you I'm political. I'm for you, and I want you to step up, give me something to do. I'm ready to fight to keep Montreat like it is. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The comprehensive plan, I think, reflects that sentiment in that the majority of the residents of this community would like to see it stay the same with no commercial development and so forth. So I think we're pretty safe for the minute, but if you watch, Asheville's pushing east very quickly. And as a guy from Henson's told me the other day when I was down there, and someone from the rental shop, that people are building on every empty piece of dirt in Black Mountain right now. So Black Mountain's growing. Asheville's pushing this way. So we just have to be diligent and maintain. And not a lot of property up here for sale. Richard might think there's a good bit more to sell, but there's not a lot of property up here for sale. Who else? Okay, I've got about 16 more minutes if you want to, anybody has anything they want to say. If not, I'm going to have the meeting adjourned until our regular meeting starts at 7. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn till 7 on our regular meeting.
So moved.
Have a motion. Mayor Pro Tem. Have a second from Commissioner Alexander. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Thank you. Chris. We'll call this meeting to order. And if we would all please stand and face the flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance together. Commissioners, you have a agenda in front of you. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? I have a motion by Commissioner Alexander. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Fouché. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes carry. We've had a great summer. We're winding down a little bit. A lot of the young people from MRA or from all the clubs and so forth have gone home. It's gotten a little quieter. The college kids will be rolling in here very soon. Part of them are already here. Probably most of the athletes, I think they come in a little bit early and so forth, but some of them are here. And probably in the next 2 weeks, they'll be everywhere and cars will be going left and right and up and down the hills. And Dave, you're going to have to adjust with the college students and get them to understand that it's 20 miles an hour in Montreat and that there is a noise level here too that we try to maintain for the peace of the community. So I hope we have a happy fall. The acorns are already falling. The bears have backed off a little bit. I don't know why. Did you have anything to do with that, Dave? Oh. Oh, thanks, David. I was wondering where they went. I know they're still around, but okay. You want to cover the consent agenda, Ben, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, town staff would request the adoption of the minutes from the July 13th public forum, as well as the July 13th regular Commissioners meeting.
Do you have any other communication?
I don't.
Okay, with the adoption of the agenda, the consent agenda is approved.
Could I make one notation
Absolutely.
on last month's regular meeting agenda? Under the comments of Letta Taylor's remarks under public comment, gate race, gate was misspelled G-A-I-T instead of G-A-T-E. You could just catch that. I'm sorry.
They were probably looking at my gate as I limped up the hill. Okay. We've also, commissioners, received administrative reports, report from planning and zoning, police, public works and water, sanitation, streets, finance, and additional planning and zoning information. Are there any questions and or additions or corrections to any of those?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, of Ben or Rachel. Just wondering how the year-end audit gathering of information and passing on to the auditor is going, and just make sure that we're going to hit our October 31 deadline.
We expect to make that October 31 deadline. We have been in almost weekly, if not more, contact with our auditors. They have already received a number of responses from town staff as well as their auditing services. So we're well underway.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? The floor is open for public comment. Any public comment? Richard?
Thank you. Again, I want to refer the council's attention to packet page 102 or whichever page that turned out to be. And the draft that's been inserted, some new language about revenue sources. To remind, the new language urges us to secure new revenue sources due to the sole dependency on the residential tax base and the growing demand on municipal services by MRA and Montreat College, who are exempt from taxes. I have two problems with the statement. First, it's not accurate. The town is not solely dependent on the residential tax base. The MRA is in fact the town's highest taxpayer. Further, as you know, the MRA voluntarily collects community service fees from conference attendees each year and distributes the vast majority of these fees unrestricted to the town for its use. The town is dependent on and receives multiple sources of revenue. Yes, it is certainly true that most of the MRA's property is exempt from taxation, but that leads to my second problem with the statement. Any fair accounting of the cost to the taxpayer of the MRA's tax exemption should also credit privately funded privileges, access, and services afforded town citizens by the MRA. This statement does not do that and instead suggests that the MRA will drive up the cost to the taxpayer. Substantively, if there is evidence of the MRA's growing demand for town services, I have not yet seen it. Since 2008, the conference center has not added to its number of conference attendees each year. Its summer peaks are down considerably from that time. We have substantially reduced our consumption of water, and we have divested ourselves of the town's sanitation services largely. The town of Montreat does have a revenue problem. It's a per capita problem, a problem of scale relative to the services that the town is expected to provide. And the MRA did contribute to that problem, just not the way the statement implies. The scale problem doesn't emanate from the tax exempt nature of our campus, which has been in existence since long before the town's founding. It came about, as the 2008 plan correctly notes, when the MRA established the conservation easement, preserving 2,500 acres from future development. It's a beloved resource, and it was a costly one. The choice was well worth it and largely celebrated as such. And from that moment, the problem of scale became a permanent problem, as permanent as the easement itself. In summary, the draft change on packet page 102 evokes the outdated language on this point from the 2008 plan. Outdated language based on the assumption at that time that the conference center was about to enter a period of growth. The 2023 Comprehensive Planning Committee accepted the reality that this growth did not occur and accepted the fact that a new era of growth and demand from the MRA for town services is not likely to come anywhere near the levels of 15 years ago. As a rule, the committee worked hard to use accurate language that encouraged collaboration and frowned skeptically on statements not backed by evidence. Held to that standard, the new draft language doesn't belong, and I ask that you restore the page to the original, which adequately conveyed the challenges of revenue development. And I'll close, just this is not in my prepared remarks, but I'm sitting between two of our comprehensive planning committee members. I didn't want you to get the impression that this is a statement from us. This just comes from me. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Anyone else? Right. We'll move on the agenda then. Public comment section number 1 is finished. There's no old business. Under new business, I need a motion to go into a public hearing on the Montreat Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan. Have a motion? Need to open the public hearing. I have a motion from Commissioner Fouché to open the public hearing. I have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Otto. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The public hearing is open on the Montreat Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan.
Hi, my name is Liz Johnson. I live at 164 Virginia Road. My husband Joe over there. Did not realize I was gonna say anything today until I was driving home from work this afternoon. And I'm just really here as a multiple generation Montreater. And I will say in front of me, I have some of the the recommendations that Priscilla Hayner put together. So that's kind of what I'm referencing, especially with the history of Montreat. I'm not really going to go into the specifics because I know each of you have those recommendations. But what's ironic, I kind of feel like I'm standing here as Thomas H. Finch's granddaughter. My grandparents moved here in 1939, and my granddad wrote many books. In fact, he wrote beautiful poetry about Montreat, the mountains. And I just want to express, as we put together the comprehensive plan, the importance of our heritage, what this community was founded on, the heritage of the MRA, the heritage of the college. It has a vast history. And what came to my mind was working with things that are already in our community, Kitty, with the Heritage Foundation, the Tour of Homes, putting some of those things together to help educate our community. And I believe it's going to be important to include that in writing in our comprehensive plan. So I refer to what Priscilla put together. I do understand the difficulties of actual making a home or a preservation home, because I've gone through that with a family member. But even if people don't want to become a part of a historic, through the state, a historic registration, we can still do things with our homes, with our community, with buildings in Montreat to educate and almost tell a story when people come to see us. So that's just what I wanted to express. That's what's on my heart. I love this community. I know you all too. I appreciate all of you so much. But I feel like if my granddaddy was here, he would say, pause, take a moment. Let's look at the words that we're writing down in the comprehensive plan. And to him, I know he would say our history and our heritage are very, very important. And I think it needs to be written.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank-
Anyone else?
Plan to speak. I'm Shirley Mitchell, 201 Harmony Lane. Reference taxes. And I think it's great that Richard has made clear what the MRA contributes, but I do believe that the college president has said he will pay nothing to the town. And if anyone can refute me, please do. He said it publicly in a meeting in December. Nothing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Anyone else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on the comprehensive plan. I have a motion from Commissioner Alexander to close the public hearing. I have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Otto. Any discussion and or questions? All those in favor of the motion to close the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item B is a discussion of proposed changes of Montreat Tomorrow comprehensive plan. Tom, you doing this one?
I think we're all jumping in because just for everyone's sake, what this represents is offline discussion where we did not have a meeting. We did not have any illegal conversations, by the way. It was all above board, but these were the changes that largely I suggested based on discussion with the commissioners as well as input from the public. We've been asked by some of the folks, particularly Priscilla Hayner, who made some suggestions last month to explain why we did not accept her, all of her suggestions. It's a reasonable request. And I'll simply say that I believe, number one, the work of the Comprehensive Planning Committee, as well as the P&Z, which took a second look at it, was excellent and very thorough. It needed very little input, a few tweaks here and there. Some of the suggestions that were made by Priscilla, and she commented that there were others who commented, spoke to it as well. And in fact, we did receive several emails from others speaking about Priscilla's comments and agreeing with Priscilla's suggestions. But I will tell you that I personally do not want to legislate preservation. Preservation is something that comes from the heart. I will tell you that when we moved here, when we sold our house in Richmond and came here, and we owned both houses, the average age of those two houses was 123 years. 123 years. Our house that we live in here now is 120 years old. So I love the historicity of old homes. And I believe in preserving, but I do not believe in legislating that preservation. And I think the vision statement that was created addresses that. And I don't think we need anything further. The suggestion of, let me just grab my notes here, of ours encouragement of historic preservation easements would require us to create an historic district. And I am after having lived in an historic district and seeing what it does to a community, I'm not, I will not vote to have a historic district in Montreat. It takes independence away. And I think that with to Liz's point, as well as Mary's earlier point about love of this community and the heritage of this community, we can do it on our own. Let's see, anything else that I need to say? To Richard's points, you make some very valid points, and you are the largest taxpayer. Just for everybody's sake, with the real estate that they own, they contributed $9,496 in real estate taxes last year. Right behind him was a resident who contributed $6,300 in taxes for the real estate that they own. So you got that that one, and we thank you for it, and we thank you for the community service fees that you voluntarily give to us each year. It helps us a lot. So the intent of that comment, that suggestion in the revision was not trying to demean what MRA does for this community. You are our Parks and Recs department, and we thank you for that. Thus, we keep our taxes down as a result of that. And we'll look at that in the month ahead between now and September.
Any other discussion?
Well, I'll just say that I agree with Tom. I would not vote to have a historic district. And I think it is just asking for trouble if we put things in writing and demand things that we can't enforce. And we just set up all kinds of problems. So I agree that we need to leave it to each person to do their best. And we've done so great so far.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. I'd like to start by just saying again, the committee, comprehensive planning committee, thank you for all the work and the hours that you put in to it. And, you know, as I was looking back over the years that I've been here, and we were looking at the older comprehensive plan, obviously now we're moving into a new one, you know, and knowing that this council comes and goes. But, you know, when I came, the previous comprehensive plan had already been written. And I look at it as a plan to help guide this council and future councils. And I think, you know, the wording has got to be careful in the fact that they do not come in and handcuff future. That, you know, so again, it's a guide versus something that like I said, can hinder councils being able to make good decisions. And, I'm thankful to be working with this council and the way they process things. That being said, in my 16 years of being here, I agree with Tom in the fact that, I was in a house that was about a 110-year-old home. And, what I have seen, again, we all seem to come generally from a place that we love this community. And what I've seen with these older homes are folks coming in and saying, hey, I want to try to breathe new life into these homes. And I appreciate that. And I don't think that that's something that we need to govern. I think generally speaking, a community does a good job, especially up here in Montreat, and continue to breathe life in there. Last thing I would say is, Mr. DeBose, thank you for your comments. I think they were well said. Commissioner Whitmer, I'd love for us to consider, as I think you, or can we be open to looking at maybe fine tuning some of that wording? But at this moment, I'm not sure what that looks like, but I think it's something to take into consideration.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to also say, the language that Ms. Hayner proposed in terms of encouraging historic preservation easements, that puts you into a whole category of legislation and under North Carolina law. There's only one where you go to 160D and other statutes that tell you just how you do that. And it's a whole regime that is extremely complicated, is very burdensome on the town to administer, is even more burdensome on the individual homeowners. And I can only tell you that I've had lots of, I've never lived in an historic district. I've had a number of friends that have, and they were always happy to leave. And I really think making Montreat one big historic district, which is about what you'd have to do, because we are all just about there. Historic homes are everywhere. Is not where this community needs to go. Many people in this room live or have homes in their families that are 100 years old. We've all kept those homes. My family still has a home, not me, but my cousins still have a home that my great grandfather built 102 years ago. So, and we're all keeping those homes. We're all fixing them up. Frankly, if you had a lot of the typical historic preservation language, you wouldn't be able to do much with those homes. You wouldn't be able to fix them up the way most Montreaters actually end up fixing them up so that they meet with modern day standards. In fact, you'd be tying people's hands. I really don't think we want to go there. That being said, Liz, I understand exactly what you're saying. And I can tell you, there's nobody that believes more and works harder for Montreat Tradition Presbyterian Heritage Center. I spend a great deal of time. I truly believe in it. I was in there looking at old pictures of 100 years old today. It's very important, and we need to emphasize it. Whether or not it's appropriate in the comprehensive plan, I'll take a look and see if we can talk a little bit about heritage. I'm not sure how much big the role the town has, but I certainly know it's a big part of the Montreat community and needs to be. And then finally, Richard, I understand. I don't think that the language that Tom put together and it was in the package it certainly was literally inaccurate. Don't think it was intended to be. We all appreciate the MRA, and I'm sure we'll tweak that language when it gets out. But we're just sending emails back and forth. As Tom says, we can't meet. We can't send an email to more than 2 or 3 people at a time. It's open meetings, but it's not. Sometimes it doesn't work just the way we'd like it to work, but we play by the rules. So we'll get it right before it's over.
Anyone else?
I turned it off. I like to look at the wording that's in the objective 7. That's let's see, it's on page 101. And I really like the way it reads, because if you look at what's in red and what's been added, in the spirit of the long-term success of the town of Montreat and guided by the above vision statements and objectives, work collaboratively with citizens and the institutions of the town, including but not limited to Montreat College and the Mountain Retreat Association, on any future development plans to support the vitality and future of the institution of the town. And I think that says a lot of what we mean. You know, we can go through and know that sometimes things are not so clear, but they do have some impact behind them. So I like what's.
Thank you, Jane. Anyone else? No, ma'am. This is a business meeting now. Questions and answers are over. You got a public comment coming up here later.
I just have one more item. Just to Priscilla's point that she had made in her statement, she said this reflects input from a number of community members. And I'm sure it does. I'm sure she talked to a lot of folks. But in all honesty, and I know some of you have as well, I talked to a lot of folks who did not agree with what those suggestions were. So I think that the balance is may get out of perspective if we just look at what was suggested by her.
I usually don't comment or discuss things, but right now I'm going to ask Mason to take over, and I'm going to jump in on this discussion since I chaired the Comprehensive Planning Committee and represented the town. A lot of work went into this thing from a lot of people. And we met and met and met, and we wordsmithed and wordsmithed and wordsmithed to try to make everything as perfect as possible. And I believe the document as presented is fine. It's as perfect as we're ever going to get. There are going to have to be some adjustments as we go along because we tried to keep it where it wasn't so restrictive to the town and the people implementing the plan that it didn't give the community and the commissioners an opportunity and staff an opportunity to be creative in the guidelines that have been laid out. So I like it the way it is. You know, Daniel Hewitt, Richard, John Casper, Mary Gramley, Maggie Elliott, Bill Seaman. Who would I leave out? Paul Maurer. And they worked hard. And I'm telling you, the last time we were meeting about every 2 weeks. And we were going paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence, and wordsmithing this. And Kayla's back there nodding her head because we drove her crazy. But we did. We worked real hard. And some days I felt like I was going to come out of my skin. But I think the document is perfect as is and as presented. So I'll step aside and be the mayor again.
Go right ahead, being the mayor again, Mayor.
Any other comments? Okay. If this wording is to be included, we need a motion to include or not include. We're not adopting, but or no motion at all. We'll just move on. Sounds like we're moving on. Consideration of nomination to appoint a regular member to the tree board. Who's heading that up?
I have a motion to make, following our procedure. Let me just. I'd like to move, nominations are open for nominating someone. We have a vacancy on tree board, and I'd like to nominate Tyler Smith to fill that vacancy.
Okay, have a motion to nominate Tyler Smith. Do we have any other nominations from the board for this vacancy on the tree board? Hearing none, all those in favor of Tyler Smith being appointed as a member of the tree board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Consideration of a nomination to appoint a regular member to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to appoint Bill Tucker to be a regular member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, moving him from alternate status.
I have a motion from Commissioner Widmer as nomination of Bill Tucker to the member of the Planning and Zoning Board or Commission. Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of the nomination of Bill Tucker signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Consideration of a nomination to appoint an alternate member to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do we have a motion on that? Okay, no nominations on that tonight. That'll be taken up at a later date. Consideration. Consideration of a fee schedule update and proposed water rate changes. Angie, and you doing that, Angie? Or is Tom doing that?
I'll do the first part. I'll let Tom do the water.
Okay.
So town staff looked at neighboring towns and other institutions, I guess, that we're in competition with to see if our fees were in line. And a lot of them weren't. Specifically like copy fees. We aren't making enough money to pay for the paper that I have to buy to run the copies off with. So we looked at raising kind of the office fees for run copies and notary fees. I'm the notary of the town and I wasn't charging the correct amount based on the Secretary of State website. A lot of the banks in town charge $10 as well as the UPS store. I went with what the UPS store charges on copies as well. And then from the top, we looked at some different fees in police, and Tom had some suggestions there. We looked at just strictly parking violation fees going from $30 to $50. And that is in line with White Mountain as well. And we looked at the handicap parking violation. Our current fee is $75. And the proposed fee is $250, which I think is a state fee. And then we went to sanitation. So we've been charging $5 for mattress pickup, but we take those mattresses to the landfill, and the landfill has gone up on what they charge us to take. So they've gone up to $15 each for mattresses. So we thought it was time to meet that amount. Also, with any kind of TV or computer monitor, we didn't charge anything, but the landfill charges us $10 to bring every TV in landfill. And this summer, I had one family that had 7 TVs that we picked up. I think they were collecting them. Then we looked at a banking fee. So we were charging right at $25 for like return checks. The bank charges us $35. So there again, we weren't meeting what we were charging. So we looked at water billing. So we charge each customer 35 cents for water billing, but that charge doesn't cover the cost of the card that we mail out every month. It doesn't cover nowhere near postage. It doesn't cover if people don't pay their water bill and we have to send certified letter after certified letter and the whole process it takes, because it's a 4-employee process, you know? So we looked at raising that from 35 cents to $1.50, which I looked at several different towns. I looked in Canton, I looked Woodfin, I went to East North Carolina, and it's right in what everyone charges for that cost. The cost for me to mail you haven't paid your bill letter is $8. That's to certify it, the paper, the envelope, the whole thing. We looked at a sanitation solid waste fee. So right now we don't charge anything annually. So we looked at a $15 fee to charge either annually to the water bill or monthly. And what that covers is trash is expensive. Our dumpster rentals have gone up. How much? They've gone up 50% just to rent the dumpsters and the compactors. That doesn't include what the landfill, they went up, I think, 8% from what they were charging us in tipping fees. So we thought that $15 was pretty fair. Rachel sent me another town on the coast today that they charge upwards of $100 a year for sanitation, solid waste fee. And then we looked at special pickup trucks per truckload. Our minimum right now is $25. We looked at raising it to $30. This is a great service that we offer for the town, but it's a costly service. Everything that goes to the dump is weighed. And so they put those charges on us. So we need to kind of recoup the service. Do you have any questions?
I do, Angie. On the water billing fee, for those who don't have you automatically deduct now, how do the residents know what their bill is going to be or was if they're not getting a bill and it's just deducted from their checkbook?
So with our computer system that we have now, every customer gets a bill, whether it's automatically drafted or whether you write a check or set up an electronic payment. So you still get a bill. So it'll be on there. And I think with the new Tyler Tech, which we're hoping we learned today might start in December for utility billing, there'll be options that you can view your bill online. So if you opt out of a bill, you'll still be able to see it.
Gotcha.
Angie, if this is adopted, these new fees, when will you publish the fee schedule for the public?
So you'll have to tell me when you want it to start, and I'll start the new fee schedule the day before. It'll go live that same day. So if you say September 1st, I'll have it ready September 1st.
You can be ready that quickly?
Mhm.
Okay.
Angie, what is special pickup per truckload? Is that if I have a truckload? What does that mean?
So you put anything out on the curb that you want to put out, and for $25, I'll send Barry and the guys with one of their pickups, a standard pickup, not like the dump
Oh,
truck,
I see.
and we'll pick it up for $25.
Gotcha.
Like bulk pickup, I think is what they call it.
Geez, that's a great.
Yeah, it's bargain. No wonder we're so poor. We haven't been charging enough.
Any other questions of Angie? All right, Tom, you can do in the water.
Yes, I'll do the explanation. Council, as you know, by state statute, our water is a separate independent water enterprise. It has to cover its own expenses. And we do that through the fee structures that we've got set up. We have two fee structures. One is for access fees and the other is consumption fees. And as everybody knows, those are billed on a monthly basis, showing what the access fees are, as well as showing what the consumption fees are. As we've looked at this, we have realized that we do not have much of a savings account, if you will, in our water enterprise. Yet the lines are getting old. Barry and his guys are out there fixing lines all the time. So we need to do something for the future. Um, what we thought we would do, which we are one of the few municipalities in the area that does not have a split fee between residential fees and institutional fees. Ours are all combined together and everybody gets charged the same, whether you use 4.3 million gallons of water a year, the way that the college does, or 13,000 gallons a year, the way that the average Montreat resident uses water. So what we're suggesting is really a change in the consumption fees. Now, you'll notice that we're changing we're reducing the lines on 2-inch fire suppression lines. What that means is that, as you know, we have 3/4-inch lines, 1-inch lines, and 2-inch lines. We also have 6-inch lines. There are some 2-inch lines that come into like the dorms. Assembly has a 2-inch line. And some of those lines are actual fire suppression lines. They aren't used except for in the case of a fire and the sprinkler goes off. So we are, because it's a public safety issue and not having to do with the flow through of water, we're suggesting reducing the fees on those 2-inch fire suppression lines from $225.50 to $75.50. And we're suggesting a new 6-inch line. We don't have a rate for the 6-inch line. It had been billed at a 2-inch line rate, and we're suggesting a 6-inch line, but we're also suggesting, as the college has right now, they have a 6-inch fire suppression line, just the same look and feel as the 2-inch line, but we're suggesting a deeply discounted rate on that one as we are on the 2-inch line. So any questions on the water access before I get to the water consumption? Okay. On the consumption basis, we bill out our water at a rate of per 1,000 gallons. And when we looked at the consumption, Richard said earlier that he has reduced, or MRA has reduced their consumption. They have done some really good things when they redid the inn, for example, and they reduced their consumption, meaning there's a lot less stress on our system from an institutional standpoint. They were over, you remember, 5 or 6 million, 6.2. This past year, they were at 3.5 million. So they have reduced it significantly and continue to do so. We're suggesting a reverse volume discount here, so that if you are consuming less than 4 million gallons as an institution, combined institution, then you would be at one rate, which would be $7.83 per 1,000 gallons, as opposed to the residential rate, which is $6.26 per 1,000 gallons. And if you are over 4 million gallons, then you would be at a rate of $9.39 per 1,000 gallons. Okay. Mason.
Yeah, let me just point out that as Tom, this 2-tier rate with the increased consumption costing more is very typical throughout the state. It's the majority of the systems like ours do that. And the reason, frankly, is to promote the same sort of actions that the MRA took to actually reduce demand for water, which helps us not only in preserving the resource, but also preserving the amount of capacity we have to build and keep up with. So it's not accidental. It's there, and it's very, very common to have a structure just like Tom's recommended.
Yeah, Richard and I were talking this afternoon, and it's contrary to what you would think. Volume discounts, the more you use, the lower your rate should be. Well, for us and the pressure on our system, it actually creates problems for us, the more water that is used by an institution. That's it, Tim.
Commissioners, you've heard the fees suggested for adoption, and you've heard the water rates and connections suggested. I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the proposed amendment.
I'll move approval of the proposed amendment.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Tom, for all the work that went into this.
Can I just make one comment, Tim?
Sure.
That I neglected to say, even at the rates that we are raising it to institutionally, there are 2 or 3 municipalities in this area whose residential rates are higher than our institutional rates.
We've already adjusted our residential rates, haven't we? Yeah, okay.
Can I ask one question? It
No.
wasn't on,
No. Yeah, you can.
it wasn't on what we voted on, but the meter tap, at one time we found out we were not charging enough. We were losing a lot of money on a meter tap. Has that cost changed, Barry, or does this 1830 cover it?
And please keep us up to date as your costs increase and so forth. The town does not need to be absorbing those costs. We need to talk to Angie and to the commissioners and get those adjusted, and to the town manager. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, when would you like the changes to start? September 1st, October 1st,
That sounds good.
October,
September.
September? Okay.
Yeah. I think the sooner we move, and we need to go ahead and publish that as soon as possible, the fee and the rate changes and so forth. Item F is mine tonight. I will entertain a motion that we hire Savannah Parrish, town manager, as town manager, with a starting date of 8/16/23, which is this coming Wednesday, at a salary of $90,000. Do I have a so move? So move, Kitty Fouché. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Otto. 8/16, which is this Wednesday. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Consideration of revisions to the bear ordinance.
We've got a minor revision to our ordinance which prohibits the feeding of bears. Before we had an exclusion, an exception for placing bird food in a bird feeder or feeders. But we now are, I'm proposing, some may disagree. We have instances of people who are repeatedly putting bird food and bird feeders, and the bears are feeding on it, and they know it, and they keep putting it. And, I don't know that we'll ever get a handle on teaching those folks to please not feed the bears, because it's bad for them, bad for the bears, bad for the residents. But I would like to modify our ordinance, which basically says that if you place bird food in a bird feeder or feeders, and the Montreat, and it's noticed enough that the Montreat police come by and tell you, look, you're really just feeding the bears, you need to do away with your bird feeder. That in that case, someone needs to do away with their bird feeder, or if not, and if bears continue to feed from it, they can be fined for violating this ordinance.
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Yes, there's a revisions to the ordinance are set forth on page 108 and 109 of the packet, and I move approval of those revisions as set forth in those pages.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Mason Blake. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second from Commissioner Whitmer. Go ahead, Tom.
I have heard from town staff as well as the police that they have encountered people who not only do what this ordinance says, but also cat food out on the deck or the porch.
Cat food is covered.
Okay. Okay.
But I wish you'd just stop out there and it's just.
Motion second. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying
I
aye.
just want to comment,
Oh.
and again, sticking to this, I won't run too far off track or the mayor will slap my hand. But the bear, I'm getting more calls from people and seeing bears almost on a daily basis now. And I'm one block off of Assembly Drive, right in the middle of Montreat. So I feel, and my wife and I, and contrary, I don't think we are feeding the bears. And I appreciate what Commissioner Blake is doing as far as trying to clean up the trash. Point of it is we're seeing bears almost on a daily basis. I literally pulled into the parking lot tonight. One of our neighbors was walking by, was just coincidence. This gentleman had on bear spray, and I took a little jab at him, and he told me that within the past week, he had a bear aggressively come at him and took a swat at him right here in Montreat. Point of that is, I still think we need to pursue. There's not many tools we have in our toolbox to aggravate the bears and push them, but I feel like we've got to quickly consider what options we do have, along with going with what you are putting in place from the food, the trash and such. But I think we're going to have to be more aggressive in what that might look like. Again, I know I might be stepping out since that's not in here, so I won't pursue that tonight.
I agree with you, Kent, as we talk, and no question about it. And we do have a revision of, frankly, to the garbage ordinance that I hope to have here tonight. And it's not here tonight because of just a timing problem and me working with the town attorney. We didn't get what I wanted to get in time to bring it for you, and I didn't want to bring what I didn't want to waste our time. So I'll have something there, but we certainly need to be aggressive. We cannot stop our efforts to reduce the bear population in town, period.
Anyone else? Okay, have we taken a vote on that? No? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Consideration of an addendum to the tax collection agreement. Ben?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is an addendum to the agreement that Buncombe County Tax Department has with the town of Montreat in the collection of the personal property and real properties here in Montreat. This has been predicated by the North Carolina General Statute 105 entitled the Revenue Act. This is a housekeeping measure to make sure that we conform with the general statutes, where this addendum is in place by adopting the addendum. And also there are two other provisions by naming a tax collector. And actually Buncombe County will still collect all the property taxes for the town of Montreat. Again, this is only to satisfy Chapter 105 of the North Carolina General Statutes. Also, this agreement, it goes through June 30th of 2025.
Do I have a motion to approve the addendum to the tax collections agreement?
I'll move approval.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Mason Blake. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Alexander. Discussion on questions?
Just a question to Ben. In that agreement with Buncombe County, did they raise their charged to us?
No, sir. It's, their charge has stayed static for a while. It's like 0.3%. I think it's like a third of a percentage point.
Thanks.
I just have one comment, Ben, just to point out to you what, and we may have already been doing it, but with the housekeeping changes, and again, they were all required by state law before. It's just housekeeping. It does require that we get a bond for this, our tax collector. That bond has to cover the county surrogate tax collector. as
That's
well.
correct. Yes,
Just need to make sure the bond's in place for both.
yes, sir.
It's always nice to have an attorney sitting at your right. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consider appointing Rachel Eddings as tax collector. Another.
Order of collection.
Yeah.
Item I.
Consider of order of collection. I did. I checked it off before we got there. Thank you, Angie. Consideration of order of collections, Ben.
And as I mentioned earlier in my comments, this is the resolution or the order that designates Buncombe County to collect the taxes for the town of Montreat.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Otto, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Blake. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Now we consider appointing Rachel Eddings as tax collector. This is another thing that we have to have an appointed tax collector
That's
for the
correct.
town, right?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
I move to appoint Rachel L. Eddington as tax collector.
Have a motion. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Whitmer. Motion was from Commissioner Alexander. Any comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Rachel, you want to come up front and get sworn in? You see this lady coming, folks? She's the tax collector now.
Rachel, be
Costs of
careful,
things just keep going up.
be careful what you say because, back our nation's history is ripe with tax collectors being tarred and feathered.
Do you, Rachel L. Eddings, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and you will not allow your actions as tax collector to be influenced by personal or political friendships or obligations, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as tax collector, so help you God? Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rachel. Thank you. Rachel. Rachel, you have been with us now, what, 8 months, 9 months? Something like that, a year? Okay, and she has been an absolute delight to work with, a tremendous addition to staff here, and you can tell when you walk through the doors that they've gotten together because you can hear them cackling. Okay, consideration of, let's see, public comment now, ma'am. If you have a comment, you can make it. We can't answer a question. Yeah.
Okay, my name's Mary Kennerty and I live on Texas Road. I just want to talk, I'm confused about what's going on with the historical district and all that. Coming from Charleston, we have a very strong historical society. We call it the Hysterical Society. Sometimes it's that strong. They have an architectural board and it's all done separate from the mayor's council and all that. And I'm just confused about whether or not, if I come in, me and 3 of my friends have each got money and we come up to Montreat and we want to tear down the existing beautiful old homes, just tear them down. Do you have a provision to prevent us from doing that? In Charleston, they do.
You're talking to the board, ma'am, not the audience.
Anyway, I just want to know the answer.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I could take the liberty to speak, if there's no one in the audience that wishes to speak before me. This is probably my last council meeting for the town of Montreat.
I hear an echo.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. Never count your chickens.
All over again.
That's it. Deja vu, vuja day. But I really want to brag on this town. The town board here, led by the mayor and the commissioners, have been so supportive and been so responsive to the public that they represent, as well as the staff. And this town has so many great attributes, and it's got a great base of volunteerism, a wonderful wealth of knowledge that they not only share with each other, but with the town. And this town benefits greatly from that knowledge of Montreaters, both the full-time residents, the cottagers, the MRA visitors, the college here. It's just a great partnership that makes this place so special. It's just like family. And I am so privileged to be a part of this town, and also to sit there and say that I have been a part of the town of Montreat. You do not know, nor will you ever know. And as my grandfather used to say, you'll have to go to heaven to know how much I really appreciate my tenure here. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you. You're fortunate to live in this valley. North Carolinians and people from all over the world do not know the value that you possess right here under your feet here in Montreat. Thank you again to allow me to, in some small way, serve you. And I hope that this town continues to grow and prosper. And I have no doubt that it will. Thank you again for what you've done for me and what you made for me.
Yeah, that saved us another party and plaque.
I've still got you on speed dial, big boy.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Thank you. Commissioners' communications. Anybody, any commissioner have any communications tonight?
Tour of homes will be Saturday and Sunday, 2:30 to 6. So get your tickets. Presbyterian Heritage Center or online.
Anyone else?
I do. I'm going to just follow. It was a pleasure working with you, Mr. Blackburn. And, I just appreciated your professionalism. I appreciate you coming in with the dedication to help us out when we were in a pinch. And I know the board concurs, but, and you did it with passion. And I really appreciate that. I also just want to address, the mayor touched on this. Obviously, I hope with Mr. DeBose that y'all are wrapping up a good summer with conferences. I have spent a lot of nights going to sleep with my next door neighbors rent their house quite often, and they got a big front porch, and I've gone to sleep with some beautiful singing out there when the music conference is in. I've gone to sleep with some horrible singing when the youth. So I've heard both sides, but anyway, I hope it was a good summer for y'all. It's always a joy to, and just kind of following up with Mr. Blackburn, to see the folks that come into this community. And again, I think we all come from a place of love and appreciation for this community, and to see these young people and to talk with them and laugh with them and, figure out what brought them. I mean, obviously conferences bring them up here, but to hear their passion and them to start to have a love for this place is fun to see. And then just to follow up, the college is knocking on a door. The summertime, it's youth walking down the street, and the fall, it's trying to slow some of these college kids down. But, be mindful that they will be coming in, and they bring a different variety of joy and enthusiasm too, through their sports and stuff. And so I would encourage you that if you enjoy any different sports, there's a lot of things to jump into and celebrate, both in the summer with our conferences and certainly in the winter months with the college.
Anyone else? Got some dates to remember. Tree Board meets Tuesday, August the 22nd, 9:30 a.m. in the Town Hall. All of these have Zoom options. Board of Adjustment meeting tentatively Thursday, August the 24th.
Mayor, Board of Adjustment was canceled for August.
Okay, well, forget that one. Town offices are closed. No, we're gonna cancel that one too.
No, don't cancel that one.
Okay. Town offices are closed Monday, September the 4th in recognition of Labor Day. Sanitation services will resume on that Tuesday, the 5th at 8 a.m. Land Care Wednesday, September the 6th at 9 a.m. in Town Hall. September Town Council meeting is Thursday, September 14th at 7 p.m. in Town Hall. Zoom options. The public forum begins at 6:30. Commissioner Tree Board, September the 26th at 9:30 a.m. in Town Hall. I'll entertain a motion to enter into closed sessions to talk with legal counsel.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we enter into closed session in accordance with NCGS 143-318.11 parentheses A parentheses 3 for discussion and consultation with legal counsel.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Whitmer. Motion was from Commissioner Otto. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes carry. We're going to adjourn into into closed session. Y'all are welcome to sit in here. We're going to come out and say that we can't tell you anything when we get through. And then we're going to go home. But you're welcome to stay.